I want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right. So that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then what is this? Says squeeze a quarter size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack, but then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And dang, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day, right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you go in between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege Hanley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Tiege commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally, because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order, and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels. What up, friends and family? We are in the building. I appreciate every last one of y'all for tapping in. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for continuing to rock out with me. We are in a good space, and let me make sure that I got this on the live chat up on the big screen. What up? What's happening, friends? How y'all feel? Is everybody in a good mood today? Man, I got some good sleep today, or last night. I got some good sleep last night. You know why? Because I just went in, cooked up, and then I just kept it moving. Y'all about to make me start pulling away from the internet a lot more. I'm going to tell you, for real. Y'all seriously are going to force me to pull away from the internet. Ian said, who going to the draft? I got a draft party that I'm going to be on my rooftop today. I got the draft party I'm telling y'all about to make me be a recluse. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to exist in this space and in this society where people is out here acting reckless. Y'all about to make me turn into a recluse. What's going on, bag chasers? Can I get a general idea? What up, sister? Your car, all of my friends and family in the chat. Can I get a general idea why you gonna pull away, big dog? Because, man, y'all don't understand. Look, bro, when I get off the internet and I'm no longer participating, I don't think about the internet. I'm gonna be honest with you. My only concern is adding value as much as I can add value, and then I go and live real life. Shout out to my dog B Mills, B Miller. I appreciate you, bro, for hitting me up last night. My dog. But yeah, man, when I get off the internet, I was watching Dune on the plane on my Apple Vision Pros, and then I started continuing it a little bit last night before I fell asleep. And I was just done, man. I was done. Look, once I'm on, and when I'm not, I'm disconnected. And my life is really, really great and it's good. And so I don't stay involved in stuff that ain't got nothing to do with me. My business, I stay out of that. And I ain't trying to participate on that type of level. And so y'all can have it. Y'all can have it. Y'all can have all of the drama, all of the issues, all of the problems, all of that stuff. Shout out to Collard Greens. I'm definitely going to be reading those super chats shortly. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and acknowledge the people that are the early contributors, because you guys always know that I like to show y'all love. First of all, I want to show some love to Trini Life. Shout out to Trini Life over here on Cash App holding me down. I also want to give some shout out and some love to my dog Mike That Dude. Shout out Mike That Dude. And then my dog Michael. Shout out to Michael on Cash App. I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you, my friend, for holding me down on that front also. And let me read a few more of these super chats. David Mosby says, hey, Anton, hope you're having a great day. Check out my God, Grandpa Emmanuel Isushkuka. He's running for United States Senate. You both have similar views. All right. Hey, y'all, we're going to have to do a review. Now, I have to warn you that if I check him out and we have a different sentiment or we have a disagreement, I have to be an equal accountability smoke giver. So if you asking me to check out somebody in order to endorse them for whatever it is that they stand on, I'm going to do that. So shout out to you. I appreciate you, David Mosby. I'm definitely going to check that out. Also, Collard Green says 50 Cent is cooking in Shreveport, Louisiana. Also, yeah, we reviewed that. Did we review that yesterday? Something like that? I don't know. But yeah, man, shout out to 50 Cent. I think we brought that up in a quick hits, in which he was opening up in Shreveport, Louisiana, was holding them down. It's a lot of people moving to the real South. Already had that conversation. I'm not going to keep going back and forth with y'all about the real South. Make sure y'all hit that Tiege Hanley up. Shout out to Tiege Hanley for being a sponsor of the platform. 30% off your first order plus 20% off of life and free gifts. So listen, I'm telling you, ladies, get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for them. It doesn't help you with the gray. I'm going to get the gray up out of there. But I'm definitely going to make sure that I keep my skin flawless with that Tiege Hanley and the free gifts that they looking out for. So shout out to y'all on that front. Also want to make sure that y'all tap into the Patreon. If y'all not aligning y'all selves with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in, then what you waiting for? Make sure you get this Stock Club game. Make sure you get this work. I think we're going to do Stock Club on Sunday. Yeah, I think we're going to do Stock Club on Sunday. And we might have a Patreon meetup in the wintertime in Hawaii. Best weather in the United States, Hawaii. What y'all think? It's expensive there. So y'all definitely going to have to keep me up to date on what's going on over in Hawaii. But anyways, how about we go ahead and get into the show, because this is going to be a money show, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are going to hit y'all with a couple of quick hits to make sure y'all stay up to date. I got you, Sarah. That starts at the beginning of next month. We're going to definitely keep y'all up to date on what's happening throughout the United States on the quick hits, but I'm going to warn y'all today. If you're not trying to talk about money, this ain't going to be the show for you. We pick and choose themes, right? We want to address the teachers, layoffs. I want to go into Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of Chase, JP Morgan Chase. We want to tap into what's happening with the Walmart CEO on his views on the state of the company and inflation. We also want to navigate over into Chicago, but not necessarily just to talk about the crime. We want to keep y'all informed on what's happening with the Chicago Bears and the stadium on that front. We want to move over to California. I heard they're trying to ban Clear, Clear at the airport and stuff like that, and the non-compete agreements. We want to deep dive into that. So this is going to be a little bit deeper, not so much surface level, not going to be quite the level that we go into inside of the Patreon, but we definitely are going to dive into the money today, inflation, state of the economy, the money. And so if you guys are not privy to that, if y'all not trying to get into that, this ain't the show for you. Come back tomorrow. We're going to see what we talk about, and we're going to go up from there, all right? So this is a money show. This is deep diving into the money, all right? Y'all ready to get into it? All right, let's get into Quick Hits, y'all. Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we want to keep y'all informed on what's happening out in these streets. Man, we don't want to dedicate an entire segment to it, but we definitely want to keep y'all informed, all right? First and foremost on Quick Hits, ladies and gentlemen, woman in Chicago. It's rough over in Chicago. I told y'all we are going to get to the news, but it's a robbing spree. It's a robbing demon over there in Chicago. Take a look.
Police say a 66-year-old woman was attacked by two people where I am here this morning. She is listed in good condition. It happened here in the Streeterville neighborhood just before 12:30 this morning near Fairbanks in Ohio. Police say the woman was approached by two armed people on the sidewalk. One of them fired several shots while the other dragged the victim onto the street before she let go of her belongings, according to authorities. The two robbers then got away in a gray sedan. Police finding bullet casings in the street. Now, this incident taking place minutes before another armed robbery nearby at Randolph and Columbus, close to the Hyatt Hotel. Police say two people were walking on the sidewalk when a light-colored vehicle drove up. Two armed people got out and demanded their property. Then police say they used a handgun to hit one of the victims in the face. Neither victim was badly injured, according to police. And just minutes after this robbery, there was an attempted robbery near Clark and Polk. Police say two people were approached by two armed robbers. One of the victims was hit on top of her head with a handgun, according to authorities. When she tried to intervene, she is expected to be okay. Their attackers driving off in a silver sedan. Now, back here live, there also appears to be a fourth incident near Wacker and Michigan Avenue. But so far, police have not officially linked all of these together, and so far, no one is in custody.
Watch Breaking.
So there is a robbing demon that's happening out here in Chicago. I don't know why people feel compelled to be able to do that. I remember back in the day when it was a big, when I was younger and it was talking about a lot of string of robberies and stuff happening inside of the, carjackings and stuff. And so in order to prevent that, they started throwing a book at people. Like they really started holding people accountable for everything that was happening with regard to these robbery sprees and stuff. And so in Chicago, it's just like everywhere you go in the daytime and the nighttime, and it's like every single day, every single freaking day, we get a report of a new robbery. And I think that that's messed up because the people don't deserve that. And I think that it's a lot of people in Chicago that are good people, and they shouldn't be subjected to living this and this crime wave and this crime spree that's happening all across the board. All right. So that is what's happening in Chicago as far as that. But in addition to that, Tiffany Henyard's top aide plead not guilty. Now, I got some insight that I want to add into this, but I want to keep y'all informed of what's happening out in these streets. Take a look, y'all.
Tonight about the charges the Dalton mayor's top aide is facing, and now he's named in another lawsuit.
He made an appearance earlier today in federal court, and WGN's Jenna Barnes was there and has our story.
Ray and Micah, Keith Freeman pleaded not guilty today to a charge of bankruptcy fraud. And according to his lawyer, he has no plans to step down from his roles in Dalton and Thornton Township, despite this indictment and a new lawsuit against him and Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
And it is something that we will defend not as a political case, but as a bankruptcy case.
The attorney for Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman, refuting that his charge of bankruptcy fraud, to which he pleaded not guilty Wednesday, may be connected to the dysfunction in Dalton. Freeman is a senior administrator for both Dalton and Thornton Township. He was indicted last week, accused of hiding his Dalton income in bankruptcy proceedings, underreporting his income by $95,000 last year.
We've had a couple of questions directed to me about whether or not this indictment means that the government is effectively trying to squeeze Mr. Freeman into cooperation. And I think that question is a question better put to the government, why they would indict someone for bankruptcy fraud, or perhaps we should call it public corruption bankruptcy fraud, which might be a new offense in this building.
Freeman's appearance in federal court comes just a day after he was sued alongside Mayor Henyard by a Dalton property owner who says the village unjustly denied him a business license.
When Keith Freeman told me that he's going to give me all the permits and put me in a position where I start working on my property, about time when I met with him again, he told me, "Who are you and do I know you?"
Tyrone Isom tried to open a barber shop and then a pigmentation studio in this space, but he says the building inspector told him Henyard blocked the project. He ended up selling the building to stay afloat financially.
And you have people who are willing to put their money where their mouth is. They'll put their sweat and hard labor and their money into a business, all within the parameters of the law, trying to bring in business into the village of Dalton. And because, for whatever reason, the mayor doesn't want it. And as Tyrone had told you today, he was told at the end, nope, mayor wants that property.
He isn't the first. In January, WGN Investigates reported on the thwarted plans to redevelop a shopping center anchored by a ministry-focused food pantry. The owner hoped to add after-school programs and a thrift store, but she says she was told it couldn't move forward without Henyard's approval.
They know that this thrift store would bring in the revenue that we need to keep our programs and services going, and without the permits, without the business license, we're not able to do that.
Just last Friday, the FBI visited Dalton Village Hall to serve 2 subpoenas, one for employment records for more than a dozen employees, the other specifically focused on Keith Freeman.
We're ready to defend with everything we have, anything that comes Mr. Freeman's way.
No response tonight from Mayor Tiffany Henyard's.
Listen. This is the play, all right? When you have this level of corruption and when you get this many people complaining about you and when they bullying you, because the city is supposed to work with you in order to get you open, right? Because then that generates more revenue. You basically are building businesses and you're building a community by which it continues to flourish because resources are pouring in, people are having jobs, revenue is being generated. And so you create an environment that's conducive for the community, and then more money ultimately flows into the coffers. But when you run it like your own personal piggy bank and you run it like your own henchman studio, what happens is people start to complain. And now when you get enough complaints, what they'll do is they'll start to knock out everybody around you. Before they come after you, they're going to knock out everybody around you. Now, all of this tough talk sounds cool in the beginning until you start facing them numbers and all of that tough talk go out the window because your money not long enough. Of course he's not going to quit because this is the way in which he makes his money. And so why would he quit? Why would the top aide quit and leave his position even though he's facing fraud charges? Because the one thing about white people resign in order to make sure that they get out the way and they don't want as much visibility. Black people are going to be like, listen, I'm staying here until you walk me out the door. And so what they basically going to be doing is eventually they're going to hit her with the RICO, I think. This is my own personal opinion. This is not anything that I heard. They're going to start hitting them with the RICO, and you can't fight that. You ain't got enough money. Your money ain't long enough to deal with these lawyers. You're dealing with the federal government, bro. And so I think personally what they're doing is they're putting pressure on the people around her in order to fold, because why would they just randomly go after him as far as him underreporting his income? Now, we know that if you underreport your income in a bankruptcy filing and they find out, then you're going to be in trouble. But here's the flip side. Why would they even be looking into him in the first place? Because she got so much heat on her. And so anybody that's around her, anybody that's dealing with her, just be very, very careful. Make sure you got your T's crossed and your I's dotted, because you're going to find yourself in a very bad situation. So I think they're going after him, and they're going to go after everybody else around her in order to put pressure, in order to squeeze them so that they can turn on her. because she out here running around like she the Don Dada. Teflon Tiff is in the building. Anyways, that's what's happening over there in Dalton. Way too much heat over in Dalton. And then last but not least, D.C. is turning into a war zone. It's crazy.
We're going to start, though, with breaking news out of the district this morning. 3 people shot and killed overnight in 3 separate shootings.
An active investigation is still underway at this hour in the Petworth neighborhood in Northwest. D.C. police saying shots were fired there around midnight.
All right, let's get to Melanie. She's near the scene with the latest for us this morning. Morning, Mel.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, so from what we can see here on the scene is that crime scene investigators have picked up the majority of the evidence markers, and we're seeing a tow truck here on the scene. It's possible, based on the amount of gunfire that happened here, that cars were hit in this as well. And you could hear on some video that neighbors had just a barrage of gunshots, almost like a war zone. It went on for 30 seconds. One of those definitely sounded like a rifle. There was another gun, sounded like a smaller caliber, returning fire. And when we were here on the scene early this morning, we saw up to 71 different evidence markers. 3 people were struck here by gunfire. There's also was some kind of a cycle or a motorized scooter in the middle of the road that has since been picked up. Then there's a tent there in the middle of the road as well that investigators generally put up to shield a body of a deceased person from public view. The call from D.C. Fire and EMS reported that one victim, an adult male, was unconscious and not breathing. A second victim, a 17-year-old, shot in the leg. We don't have confirmed info yet on the third person shot. We had some information that it may have been a woman. The violent night began in Southeast. D.C. police called to Bruce Place and Anger Place around the 10:30, 10:40 hour where a teen boy was shot. We're told that teen was taken to the hospital but did not survive. And then on Sheriff Road Northeast, about 12:35 in the morning, more gunfire. Shot spotter there detecting at least 30 rounds. An adult male who was outside at the time took a bullet to the back. He was taken to the hospital in cardiac arrest and did not survive. And back here on Spring Road, we can tell you there was an early lookout for a black Mercedes SUV that was last seen on Rock Creek Church Road. We also found out that there was another fatal shooting here. Fatal shooting April 10th, just down the corner there, just right there at Spring and 10th Street. So again, guys, still an early investigation here, and we're trying to get some more confirmed info from D.C. police. We have another tow truck pulling up here right now. We'll send it back.
Prayers up for the people over there in D.C. We know you good peoples. You don't deserve this. 71 markers, 38 markers, all of these rounds killing people. Most of them is young people, teenagers, girls, women. Nobody is safe. It's a war zone in D.C. It's a war zone in D.C.? Jesus Christ. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. Crazy. Let me read the super chat, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. This is the Money Show today. Bland Flacco says, being a Chicagoan, I want to thank you, AD, for bringing our struggles to the light. We've had problems for as long as I can remember. Then why do people up here acting like Anton is just now discovering something new, like I'm just now discovering it? No, I'm just bringing them to the front of the congregation, and when I see something, we got to say something, no? No? I don't know. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for continuing to support the platform. Let's get right to it, y'all. Schools are announcing layoffs across the United States of America, and that's unfortunate also. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and then make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description.
We reported Tuesday on teacher shortages around the country. Florida's vacancy count was among the highest in the nation. So why then, a writer for the Tampa Bay Times asks, are schools cutting jobs? Missoula, Montana public schools are also facing layoffs, the worst in a generation, according to their superintendent. Also cutting staff, school districts for Fort Worth, Texas, and San Diego. The Northwest Indiana district announced it's closing 3 elementary schools on top of previous announced layoffs. District employees spoke out against the decision Tuesday night.
It's like I'm in Twilight Zone. No one is considering our children. Indiana School Board Association Code of Ethics says children are number one. How are we considering children in all of these cuts? Health and safety. Bathroom's not clean. Desk's not clean.
I'm expected to be highly effective with 34 children in my room. Honestly, there's not going to be a lot of teaching going on. It's going to be survival of the fittest.
Welcome to the terror zone. Welcome. This is spreading across the United States of America. It's multiple different reasons and it's multiple factors, but this is what y'all wanted, right? Do you know what funds your schools? I agree, Rhonda. American is crumbling. You know what primarily funds your schools? You know why people are walking away? You know why teachers? This is the real doom loop. This is the doom loop, right? The doom loop is usually referencing cities, and that they say that, hey, this part of the city is crumbling or this part of the infrastructure is crumbling. Not infrastructure specifically, but, with regard to, like, let's just say crime is running rampant, then businesses start to close, then jobs start to walk away, then property values start to go down, which then turns into schools not getting as much funding. Businesses don't want to put businesses there anymore. People start to devolve into poverty. Then you start seeing drugs, despair, crime rises. That's the loop, because as it continues to get worse and nothing comes in to make that change or to dissolve whatever it is that's causing for that to happen in the first place, everything gets exponentially worse. And the same thing that's happening to your neighborhoods, your communities, ultimately your schools. And it's the same thing as far as the doom loop, right? Tearing up the properties, property values go down, crime rises, less funding goes into the schools, more people coming into the school district, especially with regard to the migrant crisis. Teachers get paid less. Teachers want to leave. You get a worse teacher that comes in. Parents are worse than ever before. The teachers then become overglorified babysitters because there is no home training. And then it's becoming survival of the fittest because you have an overabundance of people inside of one classroom, so there is no real learning. And then the more worse kids is more disruptive. And then if you say anything, then the parents come up there and they discipline the teachers and they treat them like trash and so on and so forth. And so it's not that the kids come first. It's the culture that you need to fix, which then creates the environment that's conducive for the kids to learn it. And so it then becomes a doom loop within your school system. You will say, well, they don't care about the kids. I say, you never cared about the kids in the first place.
And CBS News reporter Bo Erickson has been looking into the teacher layoffs, and he joins us now. Bo, tell me more about what's happening in Indiana specifically.
Yeah, why we're zeroing in specifically on this school district is because the impacts are already being felt of these layoffs. They were immediate layoffs. 173 staff positions and kind of this mid-sized city have already left the school district. These are janitors, support teachers, English as a second language teachers, recess aides, all very important positions to make the school day function. And specifically today, there was an unintended consequence of all of this. About 300 staff members called out for work, which made all the schools close today specifically.
Wow. Yeah, because when those 173 go, all of that work doesn't go away. It just all goes on to the existing teachers who are left over. Why is this happening around the country? And this I'm asking about here is not only, okay, we talked about teachers leaving yesterday, but when teachers are leaving, why are layoffs still happening? You'd think they'd be doing the opposite, right?
Exactly. We need more teachers, but the help wanted signs are being taken down specifically. And it's really being described as a perfect storm of three specific issues. Remember all that federal money coming from Congress during the COVID pandemic? It was about $200 billion. That money is going away. It cannot be relied upon anymore. We also have inflation that is rising costs. And the third aspect here is enrollment is down on many schools across.
Enrollment are down. Have y'all ever been to Count Day? Y'all know what Count Day is? Count Day is the day of the year that most schools, well, I know that happens in Michigan, but it's basically the day of the year for the county and the state to determine how much money goes to what school depending on how many kids are enrolled. So if enrollment is down, let's say you have a huge city. This is what happened to Detroit back in the day before we started making our comeback, right? What happened was you had a city because we had so many jobs, and similarly what happened to Flint. You had a city that had so many jobs because of the auto industry, and it was booming. So everybody moved up to Detroit, and it was at the forefront of the movement of what the middle class truly was, right? Then you have the 67 riots. 67 riots was the precursor to what was going to happen to the city over the next several decades. And so you had white flight. So the people at the time that had the most resources decided that they wanted to leave. We got different mayors, such as Mayor Coleman Young, that then ran the city like the mob, and it was pay for play in a lot of instances in a lot of areas. Black people basically controlled the whole city, but they didn't know how to run anything. It was a lot of pilfering, a lot of stealing, a lot of running it into the ground. And so they took everything they can, while at the same time the economy was crashing in 2008, in which the union was already dwindling. So a lot of the jobs, and the fact that we didn't change and evolve and to become something more than just an auto industry center, which we are now, then spelled your eventual demise. And so what happened is a city that was originally built to hold 2 million people then dwindled down to roughly 700,000 people, right? And the surrounding areas was thriving. Macomb County was thriving. Oakland County was thriving. All of these places was thriving. But Wayne County, specifically in the city, was suffering. And then as soon as you got one tumultuous season of the pandemic or the recession, not the pandemic, with the recession, the housing recession, and the auto industry really started laying off everybody because they couldn't even afford to keep their doors open, and they had to seek out bailouts from the federal government, everything just went to hell. Everything went to hell. And they had too many schools. They couldn't keep it open. Enrollment was down. You still had people that wanted to send their children to public schools. The property values was down, which then contributed into the schools themselves. And so you had to have somebody and a group of people that had to make a major reinvestment in order to then drive growth back into the city, and that seen it as an opportunity, a buying opportunity, which Dan Gilbert, the Illich companies, and so on and so forth then capitalized off of, which then is driving all of the growth back into the city and the redistribution of wealth and the expanding of different industries beyond the auto industry in order to make sure that the city is coming back. But my point is that is the doom loop. That is the thing that then forces the cities and the schools and the layoffs and the lowering, and because of the inflation is so high and all of this other stuff, that's the thing that ultimately drives you into bankruptcy and drives your kids into poverty, because you don't have anybody that really cares about the community, which is the constituents, the residents, the people within the community.
Country, which kind of lowers the money that states are giving to school districts.
You mentioned yesterday about the inequities when it came to teacher shortages, that there were inequities in the way that was being spread out. What about these cuts? Are there inequities in the same way with that?
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out all day long how many teachers could potentially be laid off. And there's about 13,000 school districts around the country. And the best sense we have found is about half or a little more of them said there could be layoffs coming this year. And so I talked to an expert. Her name is Marguerite Rosa. She's from the Edunomics Lab at Georgetown University. And she gave us a better sense of which types of school districts could be impacted by layoffs. How widespread may this be throughout the country?
The layoffs will be greater in some of our highest poverty districts, the larger high poverty districts, because they got more money from the federal government. And so when they spent more.
So, Eric Daniels, this answers your question. You said the federal government don't want to fund the schools. That's not true. The people are supposed to be funding the schools because the federal government get their money from the people. So when y'all get these STEMIs and they give you all this free money, all they really creating, they're mortgaging your future to ultimately sell you off on what it is that you're supposed to be voting for now. So you say, oh my God, they got all of this COVID money or whatever. Okay, so you drive up inflation and you drive up the cost of doing business and the cost of resources. Everybody think they got free money, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable because you still need a strong economy and community locally in order to keep the schools flowing and doing well. The state government, okay, so You're saying a state government. Okay, cool. So how do you decide what community gets what resources depending on how many students, how many people live within that community versus these people over here? So let's say you got this community over here, right? Community A. Community A has a booming economy, people that care about their community, people that communicate in their schools, go to work every day, take care of their properties. They pay way more in property taxes, right? Because the foundation of the schools is based off of what you contributed in property taxes. Okay, cool. So you got all of these people over here and they paying an egregious amount of money in property taxes. Then you got community B, and community B don't give a F. Community B like, we don't care. We gonna run it up. Guns everywhere, depressed properties. We want to defund the police, all of this stuff, right? Now, they not paying no money in their property taxes. Section 8 housing, all trash. We don't care about our schools, all of that, right? But you got more schools in the depressed area and less schools over here. But these schools are funded more because the people actually care about their community and they pay their property taxes and are driving up growth in their city. But then you got people over here that don't really care, right? And these are the people that need it the most. These are where the teachers are getting laid off. This is where the schools are being depressed, where you have parents that don't give a piss. They stealing, they tearing up the books, they throwing graffiti on the walls. How do you decide that you want to take money from this people that contributed into their space and give it over into community B just because you're supposed to be a diversity, equity, and inclusion and it's funded by the state? From a C student's perspective, when we break this down line by line, property by property, property tax by property tax, when you have less than a 8%, 5% voter turnout, people don't care about the millages. They don't care about how much the economy or the county itself and what their investment grade rating is and all of this stuff. When you think about that and you break it down, you can't just singularly say, well, the state government don't want to fund the schools. No, the people don't want to participate in the success of their children. That's what it comes back down to. The people don't care about the success of their children. And so what they do is they blame it and they pass blame on everything and everybody else. But the reality is that's why Massachusetts kids had the highest test scores. They appropriately funded. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. It has nothing to do with funding. See, this is a disingenuous argument from people, and that they always want to just narrow it down to funding, but it's much more complicated than that. It's much, much, much more complicated than that. Way more complicated.
They got more money from the federal government. And so when they spent more money, that now creates a bigger hole in the prior year's budget. It is going to be uneven. It'll also depend on what the districts use their money for. If they use the money to hire a lot of people, that means they've got to let them go. Some districts have warned them, said, this is a temporary job. When the money runs out, the position is gone. And that still can be confusing to employees. So they might have heard that, but thought something would change.
So I had another segment that I was going to share in this whole segment, but for the sake of time, and I want to get to the other aspects of what we're talking about on money. Oh, I'm wrong on this one. You think I'm wrong on this one? I tell you what. I'm going to do something rare. I don't usually do this. But I tell you what, I'm going to drop the link in the description. If you disagree with me, you don't have to be on camera. I'm not going to pull y'all on camera. I'm going to read the super chats. And I'm going to drop the link in the description. Or the link in the chat. That's for the chat. Y'all help me to understand how I'm wrong. Explain it to me. I'm a C student. I'm trying to understand it. I don't know what's going on when it comes to the schools. Only if you disagree with me. This is not a coaching session, any of that. Very rarely do I drop the link inside of the description on the Millionaire Morning Show. But I'm going to give y'all a couple minutes so that y'all can help me to understand how I'm wrong. Tell me. I'm open. Let me read some of the super chats in the meantime, and then we'll get to that. We going to get to that. All right? Y'all help me to understand how I'm wrong about how schools are funded and what happens within these communities that ultimately lead to teacher layoffs. I'm curious. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. I don't see nobody in the back yet, so I'm going to give y'all a couple more minutes. Seminole 2014 says, morning AD, read the other day that Biden rose the capital gains tax. He raised the capital gains tax to the highest it's ever been. Does that affect the average American significantly? Well, it does if you are dependent on capital gains taxes in order to be able to minimize the amount of money that you're paying over to the federal government. They're trying to get that money up. They're trying to get that tax money up so that they can fund these wars. I don't see nobody in the back of the chat. Shout out to you, Seminole 2014. My girl, Messi, says, earlier this year, I went against 2 teams to pitch a New York efficiency process. They had teams. I did mine alone because mine was better. I just got word mine will be implemented. They come with a bag. Hey, can we give a shout out and a round of applause to the bag chasers and to my girl, Messi Mathematician? Listen, girl, you don't know them numbers for nothing. You don't know them numbers for nothing. Shout out to Messi. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I don't see nobody in the back yet. Y'all call in and let me know how I'm wrong on this one. Zach says cities and states are broke. Teachers are underpaid. On top of that, they lost a ton of teachers to only... You a mess, Zach. Sportsaholic is in the building. Shout out to Sports. Sports says, happy NFL Draft Day. Anton, are you partaking in any of the festivities in the city? Was Tom Dog able to take advantage and get the money on this? Should I be out here in the streets on the city? Because y'all know I want to do after hours tonight. Y'all know I want to do after hours tonight. So I don't know. Should I hit the city? I got coaching calls today. I got a lot going on today. Y'all not going to call up? Y'all not going to call up? Shout out to Sportsaholic. I'll see if I can hit the city today. Jay Hustler says, new to the bag chaser, straight up game, you dropping no question about a few things. Shout out to Jay Hustler. Shout out to Jay Hustler. Yo, welcome to the bag chasers. Let me know what you need, big dog. Hopefully I can answer the questions for y'all. Robert Allen says the game is rigged. It starts with appraisals. The money is allocated depending on the appraisal of the properties in their neighborhoods. Not entirely. It's not just about appraisals, right? The appraisal is ultimately what determines what the value of the property is, which then determines what you pay in property taxes. Okay? So it's not just that singularly. It's not just appraisals. The value of the property is mostly accurately appraised. It's accurately appraised. Your cities, your economies, the places where your communities where they throwing all of these shots at, the value of that property is low. You can't raise the property value for people that can't afford to pay it. No? We'll get there. We'll get there. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, Robert Allen. Also, Greatness to Work is in the building says, it's all lies. They just sent billions to Israel to play broke and pay teachers. We've always funded these overseas proxy wars. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. The state's fund has nothing to do, and what you're being funded as far as the schools in the community has nothing to do with what it is that they allocate as far as sending overseas. Now, you know me. I'm not a fan of what they've allocated and sent overseas. But the reality is this. It's an unsustainable business model that you're using to continue to run up the bag over in your own local communities. Because you guys don't want to take accountability for it and you keep pointing the blame, that has nothing to do with what's happening and why your communities is absolutely collapsing. At all. I don't see anybody in the back. Shout out to Greatness to Work. Jamal Fowler says, for the collection plate. Shout out to Jamal Fowler. Shout out to Jamal Fowler. Ash. Shout out to my dog Ash. A great child's education is less about money and more about parental involvement and mentorship, accountability, determination, and dedication. That's a fact. That's a fact. Absolutely. Well, since I had nobody up here and I dropped the link in the chat, and I very rarely do, I had nobody that came up here that wanted to help me to understand where I'm wrong. And so we're going to go ahead and move over with the show. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's get over here to Chicago. Chicago. Nope. I'm not talking about the crime in Chicago today. I'm talking about the $4.7 billion that they're going to use in order to build the new Bears stadium. That's a lot of money. I mean, I know inflation is up. I know the value of the dollar is wrong. I know inflation is up. But let me tell you something. $4.7 billion for a losing football team. But they can't afford to lose the football team. What's up, Mika? They can't afford to lose the football team, and they are in a major metropolitan area. But we're going to talk about this $4.7 billion Chicago Bears stadium. We're going to tell you where the funding is coming from, and then we want to get the sentiment for the people as far as how they feel about it, all right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Shout out to Jay Hustler. I'm definitely going to read that shortly. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. $4.7 billion, Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears say they are staying in Chicago. Team leaders unveiling a plan to build a $3.2 billion dome stadium next to Soldier Field. And they say it's not just Bears fans who will benefit.
CBS 2 investigator Megan Hickey has the much anticipated details from Soldier Field.
We learned the Chicago Bears would be able to continue playing here during the construction of that new stadium. Today, the Bears spent a long time rationalizing and explaining that shocking price tag, which they say allows for economic participation for the entire city. Here's the first look at the new lakefront stadium that the Chicago Bears would like to call home. As Chicago Bears president Kevin Warren explained,
is that columns? Like it's the Coliseum? This is my first time seeing it, so I'm looking at it for the first time, and I'm just trying to take it all in. Who designed this? Who designed this, y'all? Is that like Rome columns? Now, I do agree that if you're going to have a football field, especially in a colder climate such as the Windy City, you got to have a dome. Like y'all out there playing in the cold, that's for the birds. That is for the birds. So the weather don't be good enough for y'all to be playing out there in the wintertime in Soldiers Field. But, yeah, this is pretty interesting.
This is not an easy project, but Chicago doesn't like it easy.
it also won't be cheap. The Chicago
What?
But Chicago doesn't like it easy.
Is that y'all slogan? Honestly. Is that y'all slogan? This is not going to be an easy project, but Chicago don't like it easy. What? Yo, y'all need some speech writers. Something, bro. Something happening over in Chicago. I don't know what the heck is going on, man. Y'all are going crazy. This is not going to be an easy project, but Chicago doesn't like it easy. What? What are you saying? What are you talking about? This sounds so stupid. Interesting. Let me watch the rest of this. I'm taking it all in just like you guys are taking it in, all right?
It also won't be cheap. The Chicago Bears plan to privately invest more than $2 billion of the $3.2 billion needed to build a fully enclosed stadium that will be built just to the south of Soldier Field. Soldier Field's historic colonnades will remain, outlining a huge publicly accessible recreational space alongside the replacement stadium.
One of the biggest private investments into a public-owned facility in the state's history.
The Bears are also seeking $900 million in public funding through the Illinois Sports Facilities Authority. Mayor Brandon Johnson.
It is an honor to be here to celebrate the Bears' commitment to remaining the Chicago Bears.
says it's worth the price tag because of the projected $8 billion economic impact on the region, including about 43,000 construction jobs and 4,200 new annual jobs to the Chicagoland area, and a massive infrastructure investment. When asked about the challenges from the city's lakefront protection ordinance, which prohibits further private development east of DuSable Lakeshore Drive, he didn't seem concerned.
I'm fully confident that it works within the confines of the ordinance.
And the Bears are still the largest landowner in Arlington Heights, but Chicago Bears president Kevin Warren says their sights are now firmly set on Chicago. So how does this plan become a reality? We will have more on next steps coming up at 5 on CBS 2.
Before I give my thoughts, let me get the sentiment from the people about how they feel about the Chicago Bears and the public funding that's going into building this new stadium.
And WGN's Dana Rabbit continues our team coverage live along the Chicago River.
How are fans reacting to the news, Dana?
Well, many of them actually say they would like to see the Bears stay on the lakefront, but the consensus is they do not feel the public should be on the hook for such a large chunk of this project.
I'm super excited. I'm just hoping that we actually, you know what I'm saying, do what we're supposed to do, you know, go all the way to a championship. So
You can forget it, buddy. Listen, y'all gonna get a new stadium. It's gonna be a nice new look. Y'all gonna be able to walk around and all of that. But as far as winning, you know the Chicago Bears ain't winning nothing. Listen, bro, if you're looking at it from a sports perspective, then you're gonna be disappointed. If you're looking at it from an economic activity perspective, we can have that conversation. Let's continue.
super excited, of course. I think it's going to be awesome.
On the eve of the NFL draft, Chicago Bears fans reacting to the team's new plans to
It look
build
kind of good, though. I mean, it looks sweet. That stadium, that dome stadium, it looks sweet. It looked like they letting in natural light. That's going to be an engineering marvel. They got a lot of work cut out for them. It's a lot of money, but it looks kind of sweet. I can't even front. I'm not going to cap. It looked kind of good.
a domed stadium on the lakefront.
I think it should stay here, yeah. I just feel like in the heart of the city, this is the best place for it. Arlington is not Chicago, in my opinion. I mean, it is, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's not like the downtown area of Chicago. So I think down here in the city would just be better for everybody, in my opinion.
Improvements to the museum
That looks
campus
sweet.
would come from the public. While the exact funding structure isn't clear to taxpayers yet, Bears fans have mixed feelings on the ask.
It seems pretty inevitable at this point. I expect to lose a good chunk of my income every year. And
Am I surprised? No. Am I disappointed? Yes. I mean, nothing surprises me anymore with what they do with these taxes. But yeah, is it fair? Absolutely not.
On whether fans prefer this lakefront plan compared to a move to Arlington Heights, most want the team to stay here, but they aren't sure that's what will really happen.
if they took it to Arlington Heights, the one plus would be saving the traffic down here a bit. That would be kind of nice. But I don't know. It just feels like such an important, vital part of the city that it'd be a shame to lose it.
I actually think it's a negotiating ploy. I'll be stunned, first of all, if the city would come up with that kind of money. And second of all, I think the Bears really want their own campus. They want to own the land. They want to put up hotels. They want to do all that stuff. So I think they're bluffing.
So with all of this back and forth between the lakefront, Arlington Heights, Bears fans say they are not holding their breath and they aren't going to believe this until it's a done deal.
So Bears fans don't even believe, even after this announcement, that they're actually still going to keep the team within city limits. You got to keep y'all team. You have to keep y'all team. Here in Detroit, most of our teams outside of the Detroit Red Wings used to be in the surrounding suburbs. The Detroit Lions was in the Pontiac Silverdome, which I personally explored it before. They tore it down and then made it an Amazon warehouse facility. The Pistons was in the Palace of Auburn Hills. They wasn't in Detroit. And now we got all of our teams. We got the Tigers, we have the Red Wings, we got the Pistons, and we got the Lions. Literally all less than a few blocks away from each other, all within city limits. And it's created an economic impact that cannot be, you can't really put it into words, the level of economic impact and how it drives revenue and how it's continued to revitalize the city along with all of the other jobs, the redoing of the buildings, moving of Quicken Homes downtown and all of that stuff. So, yeah, y'all got to keep y'all team. Detroit teams are horrible. You sure about that? Our football team is better than y'all's. Stop. Just stop. 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 Let's not do this. Let's not do this. Okay? But congratulations. I'm trying to give y'all some credit. I'm trying not to go in on y'all trash Bears. I'm trying not to go in on them, but y'all forcing me. Please don't force my hand. Don't force my hand. I'm trying to give y'all some good news, but y'all don't want to do it. All right? But like I was saying, the economic impact of needing this, and a lot of people will say, well, no, we don't want to use our tax dollars for it. Well, let me give Chicago some credit if they do keep the team within the city. What happens is, better way to explain this is what happened when LeBron James left Cleveland the first time. The economic impact that was felt as a result of him leaving was crazy. Jobs lost, bars closed, downtown didn't have as much activity, people wasn't spending money. And so in order to drive that investment, you need people to spend money within the city. Because it's not just the Bears. It's not just, oh my God, we got to contribute to the pot in order for the Bears to stay here. You got to think about the economic activity, the jobs, the restaurants, the small businesses, all of the funding that it generates for the city. And so you have to keep your team within city limits. It's a smart move. You got to give whoever it is that's a part of this, Brandon Johnson, if they decide to stay in, you got to give them some credit. When you incentivize economic activity, it's like investing. It's the public's way of investing into their own future so that the taxpayers can then benefit long term within the city of Chicago. So it's going to be a good move. It's a really, really good move. Congratulations to Chicago for keeping y'all team, unlike Oakland. Congratulations to Chicago. So I'm going to give y'all a little bit of credit. We'll be back on y'all next tomorrow. All right. Let me go ahead and read some of the super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Jay Hustler says that Tiege hitting too. Shout out to that Tiege. If y'all not a part of the Tiege pack, make sure y'all get that. Link is in the description. Lazy HOA Gardner. That's a heck of a name. Shout out to the Lazy HOA Gardner. Says now they have workers to build it. Migrants. Who all getting these construction jobs? Y'all gonna get these construction jobs? Y'all gonna build on some of these contracts to help participate in the Bears Stadium building? Y'all ain't got y'all permits. Y'all not licensed. Y'all don't really have the ability to be able to do it, so you're going to miss out on all the money. That's what y'all should be doing. That's what people should be doing. They should really, honestly, instead of sitting here and trying to figure out, oh, man, where's all the money going, y'all should be trying to figure out how you can get some of that money, because if they're going to be spending $3-4 billion in order to build this stadium, how much of it is going to go into your pocket and how much are you missing out on? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money in these streets. Bon Kajor says, hello, Mr. Daniels. I'm majoring in computer science at Macomb Community College. To transfer to Wayne State University, I have a chance to change to cybersecurity and graduate early. Should I change? Well, what are you specializing in? Are you just specializing in just computer science in general? What are you specializing in? If you want to switch over to cybersecurity, I'm a fan of cybersecurity personally. I'm a huge fan of cybersecurity. It's one of the few things and a few industries that's not going to experience a retraction. It's going to continue to grow. Cybersecurity is where it's at. So if you were my son or you were my daughter, I would tell you, yes, switch over to cybersecurity. So shout out to you and congratulations for doing a community college, minimizing the amount of money that you got to spend, and then transferring over to a major university. Congratulations. My dog, Mr. Lott. Live from downtown Detroit for the draft, Chicago will lose its environmental advantages with the dome. Lions will feast regardless. # one pride. That's a fact, though. That's a one pride all day long. Lions did so phenomenal. They did so great. Wealth Building Journey says, if Chicago fumbles this opportunity, we'll see the Bears move to a new city. The Rams and the Raiders recently taught St. Louis and Oakland that lesson. That's a fact. That is a fact. Rams moved out over there to California. Oakland moved out there to Vegas. Your Pistons can't even make it in the play-in. Let me see. What is the most recent championship from the Chicago Bulls? Let's see. Just question. I think it was 96, 97, right? Oh, 98. 97 and 97, 98. So they did 90. Okay. So the Chicago Bulls' last championship was before I graduated high school. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we all in the same. I don't want to deep dive into the sports aspect of it because this is a money show. But the last time that y'all won was before we graduated high school? Sheesh. All right. Well, we not gonna get there. Oh man, what's going on with my camera? They got my camera tearing up. They said they don't want me to be great. Oh. All right, looks like we got to make an adjustment. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. We back. Had to make some adjustments. Shout out to Patty Jackson. Zach says Hector is in all of the buddies Hector and all his buddies getting that contract. They don't even like the Bears. Oh man, y'all giving me a hard time right now. Zach. You got to make it easier on me. I'm a C student. I don't know how to do all of these abbreviations. No periods, no commas, no nothing. All right. Let's go ahead and continue over with the show. California banned and clear from their airports. There's a new bill. I don't know why they would do this. I'm just learning for the first time. And then on top of that, the non-compete agreements. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's deep dive into this, y'all.
Tonight, the popular security screening service Clear is facing some possible turbulence in California. The company could be banned from the state's airports after lawmakers say it's created a system of haves and have-nots when it comes to skipping the long lines. Here's CBS's Carter Evans.
Really? Hold on.
Airport security.
Hold on. I thought that they was going to be banned and clear. When I seen this story sent to me, I thought that they was going to be banned and clear because it prohibits something or it stops some kind of movement or it slows the flow inside of the airport or something like that. You telling me that California is so liberal and they so caught up on a diversity, equity, and inclusion conversation that they saying that Clear basically creates a space where people that's willing to pay, I got Clear. So you saying people that's willing to pay extra in order to be able to get through quickly have to be punished, and they are, come on, man. The legislators in California, y'all ain't got nothing better to do. Y'all ain't got nothing. So you that jealous. So you sitting in the line over here, you ain't got TSA pre-check, you ain't got Clear, and you getting jealous, and so y'all petition y'all legislators to get rid of a good business model that they're profitable off of because your feelings is hurt? Tell me this ain't a real thing. Tell me that the legislators in California didn't take this up and then frame it like, oh no, because there's a haves and a have-nots as far as the people being able to get through the line. Tell me that that's not what this article is about. Seriously? Oh my God. Unreal. California, y'all are the worst. Y'all are the worst.
Lines. One thing is perfectly clear. Those who pay extra get rewarded.
And what the current system does is it allows a Clear customer to cut the line.
California State Senator Josh Newman introduced a first-in-the-nation law that would stop customers who pay the $189 annual fee from leapfrogging the security line at the state's airports.
All Clear really does is it moves me in front of you, and we get to the same place in front of the conveyor belt. Only by then you're mad, the TSA agent's all stressed out, and I paid $189 because I think I'm better than you.
How is this different than any other service that we pay to jump the line?
People pay to jump the line at theme parks. They pay to jump the line going into music concerts, sports stadiums.
Not only do we pay to jump the line, we pay to be a lot more comfortable. So next thing you know, y'all going to be taking out Delta 1 and first class 2 and saying, no, everybody got to ride the plane the same way because we're all going to the same destination. What is wrong with y'all? Who voted this guy in? They paying to jump the line. They're paying to sleep on the airplane. They're paying to lay back. They're paying to have bigger seats. They're paying for Delta Comfort Plus. They're paying for... That's what money does. It creates a better environment where they all want us to live in the same houses, the same boxes. This ain't nothing. Listen, California is a socialist country. They want everybody to do their own jobs, and you going to work harder than you, but we all going to make the same money. We all going to live the same. We going to do a distribution. Doesn't matter what you do. The only thing that matters is how I feel. This is the dumbest of all of the legislation that I've seen introduced into the United States this year, whether it's on a national level or on a local level. This is quite possibly the dumbest form of legislation that I've ever seen in my entire life. Let me give a round of applause for the dumbest city or the dumbest state in the world, California. Y'all not tired of this? Y'all got a homelessness crisis, a migrant crisis, a budget deficit. California got so much. Y'all got a housing explosion. Taxes is higher than anywhere in the United States of America. Earthquakes, and God is about to just break this place off from the rest of the whole country. And y'all sitting here creating legislation because you don't like the fact that somebody pay clear? Jesus Christ.
Stadiums.
The company says it has nearly 1 million California customers and pays airports there $13 million.
So Clear continues to contribute into the tax base. They paying the airport to be there. They running up the numbers. They got a good business model. And you want to get rid of it for what? So you want to mess up the money for what? Because you don't like it? Because you don't like the fact that you see me walking up a little bit faster than you?
Several airlines have taken a stake in Clear and say the lost revenue could mean higher fares. But Clear, which uses fingerprinting and eye scanning in its screenings, has had issues in recent years with security lapses. That's the main reason the union representing flight attendants supports the bill.
It's
and
always a
lawmakers
union.
don't want to ban Clear
Always a
entirely.
union.
Just separate the lines.
If you pay for Clear, go do your line somewhere else.
That's financially and logistically impractical. TSA doesn't have the funding it needs now to adequately staff all of the security lanes that exist.
And Clear is also facing another business challenge. The TSA and airlines are already investing.
Did y'all hear what my man said? He said, hey, man, go and take your line somewhere else. Listen, I don't want to ban it all together, but just don't put it next to the people that's going in the regular line. Take your line somewhere else. I'm feeling some type of way. Somebody pissed him off. He was waiting in the regular line. They made him wait too long. He was looking at the people over there in Clear and TSA pre-check. And he said, you know what? When I get home, I'm writing a whole bill to ban you mother effers. Y'all going to be playing basketball in Pelican Bay. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Similar technology at checkpoints around the country, including right here at LAX. The goal is to move everyone through security faster, whether you've got Clear or not. Maurice?
Okay.
So dumb. Anyways, in addition to that, what I did promise y'all was that I was going to mine out exactly what was happening with the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, as far as banning non-compete agreements. Do you guys know what a non-compete agreement is? Let's get into it.
Welcome back. The Federal Trade Commission has just voted to ban almost all non-compete agreements between companies and their employees. That new ban also applies to any existing non-compete agreements.
To break it down, the purpose of a non-compete clause is to restrict employees from finding new jobs at competing companies, both during and soon after employment. The policy is set to go into effect in August, but the U.S. Chamber of Commerce says it does plan to challenge this decision in court.
Joining us here on set to explain it all, Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver. Caleb, good morning. So labor groups say that these policies basically keep workers from making more money or having the opportunity to go seek more money elsewhere. What do you make of that, and how will a ban like this change things for employees?
Well, for a lot of people that have to sign non-competes, and it's not every.
I got you, Eric. Give me a second. Let me finish this segment real quick.
but a lot of companies do enforce it. They could hop to another job at a better pay if they could just leave that job, but a non-compete prevents them from doing that. So the FTC has proposed this rule that says that it affects 18% of the workforce, or some 20-odd million workers, 30 million people actually, who can't job hop to get better pay. It also says it stifles innovation. If you can't leave from one job to another, companies can't innovate. You can't have new startups being formed because you can't leave your job and form your own company if it competes in the same field as your other company. So it says it's stifling job creation. It's costing more in healthcare costs, and it's keeping people in jobs that they don't want to be in for too long. That's why they proposed this rule.
Yeah, let's talk more about that. The FTC says it's stifling the job market, it's hurting the economy, but it keeps businesses from hiring essential employees. And right now we see just how great that need is with places struggling to hire. I mean, talk more about some of those.
Yeah, let's say you work at a restaurant, you're a chef at a restaurant in a small town, and you want to hop to another restaurant. You could be subject to a non-compete, so you can't go and take your staff.
That's not where they have non-competes. That's not usually what it happens. I never heard of it personally. This is me personally. I've never personally heard of a non-compete agreement at a restaurant. I haven't. Usually non-compete agreements exist where technology or something that they're doing and that they spent a lot of money doing research and development on, or they have secrets that they have within this particular company and they don't want you to take those same secrets and then go and start your own company within a certain period of time before they can release the technology, or that they can leverage the technology that they spent money on developing in order to do so. They don't want you to then say, oh, okay, well, listen, I was over here working on Apple CarPlay, and I'm going to leave and go over to Tesla and take the same technology that I had or the insight that I have, and then use these things that you developed. You trained me, you taught me, I grew within the company, and then I want to take these same proprietary technologies and move over into the other company and then be able to do what it is that I do. So what happens is the non-compete agreement, what it effectively does, which here's the key. Here's the key about it. You don't have to go with that company that's forcing you to sign a non-compete agreement. You don't. And usually the non-compete agreement expires. So you sign a non-compete agreement. If you leave this company and you go somewhere else over the next couple of years, you can't compete against us. That's basically what they're saying. You can't use the knowledge that you have, that you learn from here, to then go and compete against us, because it basically breaks the non-compete agreement. That's basically what it does. Copyright is hard to prove, Ash. It's hard to prove. It's very, very hard to prove. So if I go in here and you come work for me, right, and I develop this new innovative technology and I'm about to release it, and then you go over to Google and then give it to my competitor, or give knowledge to my competitor to do the exact same thing that you came over here and I was paying you an egregious amount of money for, then that basically messes up what I have. And it's largely also for smaller companies to be able to compete against larger companies, so that larger companies don't also take the employees or incentivize the employees to leave the smaller companies and go over to the larger companies. So we only looking at it from one point of view, right? The first point of view is you got a Google over here, you got a Tesla over here, you got an Amazon over here. And so why would somebody be incentivized, an employee be incentivized to work over here and then take care of this over here and build their own thing over here and then see it through, when somebody else that's got bigger pockets and just hire all of the employees and basically shut your company down and then take everything that you use to build it from the employees that help you do it or was a part of it? Why would they stay? Because they can you going to give them a crazy amount of money over here. It don't really mean anything to them. And so what they're going to basically do is shut you down as a smaller competitor, even though you got a non-compete agreement. So you can go and work at another company, but you can't work at that other company in a capacity in which it competes against the very thing that you was working for over here. That's what a non-compete agreement does. And here's the key again. You don't have to sign it. Correct, Z. Exactly what Apple did with the watch company technology. You don't have to sign it. If you don't want to work there and you say, you know what, I don't want to be here for this amount of time, and working on this particular project and getting paid this amount of money, you shouldn't have to sign it. But what they're basically hinging this on is the idea that you can't make way more money by job hopping within a certain period of time, and it stifles the amount of money that you're going to generate long term by being able to jump over to a competitor and making more money. So it's a sticky conversation, but I see it from both perspectives. It's a very, very sticky conversation.
With you, that's part of the reason they do this. But it's also for executives in companies that may be exposed to trade secrets or working on projects that a competitor might want to get their hands on by hiring that team. There is a stipulation in this new rule, Section 5 of the FTC Act, that says for senior executives, those making $151,000 or more, it doesn't apply to them necessarily. And this,
but it's not, listen, the senior executives are not the ones that you got to worry about. It's not the senior executives. It's the software engineers. It's the directors. It's the people that's ahead of a particular program. Those are not necessarily Those are not necessarily senior executives. They are not necessarily in a C-suite. But it does not mean that they don't have technology, insight, information, understanding of exactly how this You can go into a place and set it up exactly like the place that you came from with improvements in order to compete against the person that you just lost your job from or the person that you just left the job from.
This is not a done deal by any means. The Chamber of Commerce, as you mentioned, is suing. They say you can't do this because companies need to protect their workers, their trade secrets, et cetera. But the FTC says there's ways around this. NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, ways to protect trade secrets other than just by keeping people in the same job, not allowing them to job hop.
It sounds like there might be quite a few people then in the types of industries, finance, things like that, that this is actually not going to apply to. So maybe it's not quite as big of a headline as banning them all.
Right. $151,000 is a lot of money. And those senior executives who are making that or more.
Absolutely. Caleb, are there any downsides
Senior
here?
executives make way more than $151,000.
The downsides, if it does pass, is that, yes, the trade secrets that you may be working on, maybe you're working on autonomous cars, maybe you're working on a great recipe, you can't necessarily move that from one place to the other. That could hurt companies. The other downside that the Chamber of Commerce says is that you are making it tough for companies to compete. The FTC says this is anti-competitive. This is almost antitrust. This FTC, led by Lena Khan, has been pretty aggressive. This is the first time in 50 years that they've tried to do an economy-wide ban of a non-compete clause and really change the way companies operate. It's got a long way to go before it passes. And then if it does...
Somebody taking the thing that I developed and I worked so hard for, just willy-nilly. Because, see, I think that the problem is that y'all think that it's only... Here, let me get that. I appreciate it. How you doing? How you feel, babe? I think that the problem that y'all think is that this only applies to larger companies, so y'all not really concerned about it because larger companies is not a big deal. Thank you. It doesn't. It applies to smaller companies, startups, mom and pop startups, people that's in their garages. It applies to everybody. So it's not just applying to the smaller companies. That's the problem. That's the problem. Oh, my God. Look at sister in the building. Let me go ahead and read these super chats. Let me see. Sigma the Prince says they going to build that stadium on migrant labor. Facts. Maybe that's why they was also bringing in a whole bunch of migrants in order to get this done. Mr. Lott says travel, equity, and inclusion. Shout out to Mr. Lott. I appreciate you. He in the city. Brandon Vega says, look up the Crown Act. I will. Thank you. My girl, P. Shank says, good morning, Mr. Anton Daniels. Shout out to P. Shank. And oh my God, I don't even know if I can do this. Sister. Now listen, y'all see this $500 super chat. And y'all like, damn, sister is always blessing Anton. But did you read the super chat? She says, Mr. AD, you have enriched my family's life. Not just hers. My family's life. More than you will ever know. I appreciate you. Can we get another round of applause? Listen. I don't know how much I've enriched your family's life, but I do want to say that I am very, very blessed to be able to add value into your life. And I am very, very blessed to be able to have you as a part of my chaser. Shout out to sister. Shout out to every single person that shows love, adds value, and is always blessing and holding me down. I love you. And I don't even know how much I can express I love y'all. I tell y'all every day, especially you, sister. I tell you every day how much I love you, how much I appreciate you, how much you're meaningful to me in my life. And I don't be caring. I don't ask for it. I don't do any of that stuff, but I absolutely positively appreciate you. I really do appreciate you. We appreciate each other. And this is how life is supposed to be. I used to even have trouble accepting this type of stuff from y'all. I remember one time I shut down my entire live stream and y'all was giving me all kind of hell. I'm not going to crash out in the stream, Miss Messy, but I just want y'all to know I love y'all. I genuinely do. Shout out. Can we give one more round of applause for sister? Always holding me down. Always holding me down. I love y'all. I genuinely do. Thank you, sis. You are my heart. You are my baby. Trini Life says, can't watch the show getting bags. Just got my first check. Shout out to Trini Life. It's looking nice. Wanted to share the bliss. We'll see you later. Be blessed. Be great. Shout out to Trini Life. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the bag chasers. If y'all not a part of the Patreon and the bag chasers, make sure you tap into the Patreon. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. We doing great things over here. I love y'all. I appreciate you. It's hard for me to take it, but I do. I appreciate you. If it was up to me, if I was able to, and I was able to limit the amount that y'all was able to give, I absolutely would. Thank you, sis. And thank you to every last one of y'all that absolutely love and appreciate what we got going on over here. Y'all ready to continue on with the show? All right. So I want to get to Jamie Dimon first. Let's do Jamie Dimon. Actually, that's the wrong one. Let's do this one. That's the wrong one. Let's do it. All right. Yeah. Jamie Dimon. All right. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of the largest bank in the United States of America, J.P. Morgan and Chase. I recently read an article where they say where Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. Wall Street Journal recently did an interview with Jamie Dimon, and they got his perspective on the economy and everything else. Shout out to my dog, Fi Brown. I'm definitely going to be reading that super chat shortly. They got his view on everything, and so I want to mine this out. I have not listened to it yet, but I definitely want to break this down for y'all before we get over to Walmart CEO and his views on inflation and the state of the company also, all right? So this is the money show. We got to get to it. We got to break it down. If you guys are not familiar with who Jamie Dimon is, you got to understand who he is. You got to participate in the financial space so that you'll know what's going on. You should know more about Jamie Dimon than you know about LeBron James. You should know more about Jamie Dimon than you know about Steph Curry. You should know more about Jamie Dimon than you know about Club Shay Shay. You should know more about Jamie Dimon than you know about the Millionaire Morning Show, okay? This is the guy that y'all want to study. He really controls what's happening within the banking sector. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to it, y'all.
Jamie Dimon, thank you very much for sitting down with us today.
I'm excited about this.
I spent a lot of time this weekend reading your letter, and my biggest takeaway from it was that you have a very clear sense of what's good for America, what's good for the economy, and what's good for J.P. Morgan. What is the biggest threat, in your mind, to that confident vision?
So every year when I write that letter, I try to think of what are the most important things. And I would add to that the free Western world, because that's what worries me the most is that, you know, the Ukraine war, the terrorist activities in Israel, you know, the thread that's drawing between Russia, Iran, North Korea, China, the difficulties of our relationship with China, that whole thing is challenging. But, you know, we would call the free democratic Western world, and that to me is the most important thing, that we get all of that right.
Well, I want to come back to the geopolitical backdrop in a minute, but right now I want to focus specifically on the economy.
Right.
As the chief exec of America's biggest bank, you have an unrivaled insight into the financial health of the U.S. consumer. What are people doing with their money right now?
So you have to look at it a little bit in context. The consumer's in pretty good shape right now. Unemployment's under 4%. It's been there for 2 years. Housing prices are up. Stock prices are up. Jobs are plentiful. Wages are finally going up at the low end. The consumer's in pretty good shape. The one thing you got to be cautious about, a lot of it is driven by just fiscal spending. So even today, the deficit is 6% of GDP, you know, almost $2 trillion. that's driving a lot of this growth. And that will have other consequences possibly down the road, called inflation, which may not go away like people expect. So when I look at the range of possible outcomes, you can have that soft landing. I'm a little more worried that it may not be so soft and inflation may not quite go away people expect. I'm not talking about just this year, I'm talking about 25 and 26. The rates may have to go up a little higher. I'm talking about the 10-year rate, the 5-year rate, and that can have consequences.
So let's break this down from a C student's perspective. He's saying that the consumer is in good shape. Well, it depends on what you feel like is in good shape, because he's using data in order to be able to justify his argument. But he's not really tapped in with the everyday consumer. Why is he saying this? Well, partially because their business is dependent upon the consumer being in good shape, meaning your ability to be able to borrow money in order to do the things that you're doing every single day. Credit cards, mortgages, financing vehicles. All of this is the business that banks are in. So of course he's going to say the consumer is in good shape. It's a white lie. It's not entirely cap. It's a white lie, because technically unemployment is down. Technically jobs is up, right? People continue to get raises and promotions. The problem is how consumers are using those resources in order to be able to survive, right? Homelessness is up, inflation is up, and what he's saying is even this manufactured economy, keyword manufactured economy, he's telling you that spending as far as keeping the economy humming is up. So even this white lie and saying that the consumer is doing well, relatively compared to the pandemic, relatively compared to 2008, there is some layoffs here and there, right? Inflation is up, wages is up on the low end as far as regular everyday blue collar workers, people that go to McDonald's, auto industry, all of this stuff, right? People are getting record wages and raises and promotions, but inflation is still high. And the reason that inflation is still high is because inflation is tied to a manufactured economy. What is Anton saying when he's saying a manufactured economy? I'm basically telling you that they're spending money in order to artificially inflate the economy and make it seem like it's better than it is, which then raises inflation. All right, let me break it down from a C student's perspective. The federal government and the Biden administration cannot afford for you guys to not have jobs. They can't afford for you guys to not be working, to be able to feed yourself. And so what they do is they artificially, by pumping money into the economy, keep you humming and keep you working. But they also want to keep you spending. The problem with that is that because they're spending so much in order to artificially inflate the economy, inflation goes up, and that's why they got to continue to raise rates. They're raising rates, the interest that you pay in order to be able to borrow money. Car loans, house notes. You know how you guys say, oh man, I could have went and bought a house and this, and the rates was lower. Well, it's the only way that they really have in order to be able to fight inflation, while at the same time inflating the economy itself by artificially stimulating it in order to keep you employed and keep you working. Correct, Yakar. You're absolutely right. So what I'm telling you is that even though jobs are plentiful, what types of jobs? Even though you guys have a stimulated economy and there's so much going on, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's benefiting you, because you're just becoming more consumers, and eventually they have to tamp down inflation, or they're going to have to artificially crash the economy in order to get things back in check. But that usually doesn't happen until after the presidential election, because they have to make you feel like things are going well. All right? I see, based off of what he's saying and what he's telling us, is that rates are going to go up. Rates are not, listen, it's so important if you are a person that's about your bag, if you are a person that's in real estate, if you're a person that's in stocks, if you're a person that's investing, if you're a small business owner, if you're a person that's trying to be concerned about what's happening with your 401k, if you're a part of Stock Club inside of the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. So that informs us on what it is that we need to be paying attention to as far as what we investing in long term. Listening to him talk, reading his letters, he's telling you as the CEO of the largest bank in the United States of America that rates are going to go up, at the very least short-term rates. Short-term meaning the 5 year, the 10 years, right? The 30 year, that may be a little bit shaky, but the 5-year and the 10-year, that's definitely going to go up more. Why? When you look at and you're trying to borrow money, right? Let's say, for example, you're going out here and you're trying to mortgage a house. Let's say you're trying to go out here and you're trying to draw a mortgage. Most people get a 30-year mortgage. If you go and get a 15-year mortgage, if you go and get a 10-year, then the rates are usually lower, significantly lower. You're going to pay way less in interest over a shorter period of time in order to be able to get that house. Why? Because that particular consumer doesn't need as much, or they don't need to borrow as much capital in order to be able to substantiate what it is that they're trying to buy. He's telling you it's an artificial economy more than it ever has been before. That's why you see the jobs at what it is. That's why the Biden administration keeps saying, oh my God, we created all of these jobs and all of this stuff. Well, what jobs? Where? Retail, hospitality, government jobs. What about the private sector? The context matters. Don't just look at it on the surface. Look at it in its entirety. The context and what type of jobs matter just as much as what jobs are being created. We just did it. We just seen this in the very beginning of this show where teachers are being laid off across the board. Why? Because they were pumping over $200 billion, 200 billion with a B, not an M. They were pumping $200 billion into artificially raising and keeping the economy afloat within certain areas. That money ran out because it's unsustainable. They were artificially pumping money into certain economies into certain states at that time, especially during the pandemic, which is one of the reasons why y'all voted the way that y'all voted. It was an unsustainable business model. So now, because the teachers got used to all of these jobs and all of this money and it's flowing into your state and into your city and into your community, it's not actually being propped up by anything other than the federal government just printing more money. And so eventually that goes away, which then create more chaos, higher inflation, which is never going to go down. And then y'all think that, and y'all start having these conversations, well, the government don't want to fund education. No, they artificially stimulated the economy, and now you can't sustain it within your own community. It's not being propped up by more jobs. It's not it's not something that's actually being needed or booming. It just raises the rate of inflation and it gives you a temporary feeling that's not a long-term solution. Exactly. You got it right, Gladys. California. 2023, California had a surplus. 2024, California is in a deficit. And they're using federal and emergency money in order to try to solve for the deficit that they have and more people leaving.
So we'll see.
But right now, you describe a pretty rosy picture, and yet we know consumers aren't feeling it. Why this disconnect?
Yeah. Well, you have to look at different consumers here. So the bottom 20% of America have not done particularly well over the last 20 years. Incomes barely went up. Remember, suicide, fentanyl, crime, inflation. There are a lot of negative effects. Some people can't get mortgages, can't buy the home. So yeah, there's part of society who's kind of struggling. There's part of society who's not. And I think that's a different issue about how we deal with the policy, but you can see why that has people upset.
So just to go back to the soft landing, in the letter you concede you were on the hawkish side, but then things played out in a more benign fashion. But you're still, it's a slightly begrudging concession. You yourself sound quite glum in the letter. Can you tell us a bit more about why that is?
So I'm not looking at a year. I'm not making a forecast. I'm trying to say, what are the range of possible outcomes? And last year and this year, I would put out the same issues. Huge amount of fiscal deficit, huge amount of QE, a lot of things in the future inflationary, the green economy, the remilitarization of the world, obviously the deficits, which basically aren't going to go away as far as the eye can see, and geopolitics. All that puts me on the side of caution that things may not go as well as people expect.
It's not going to go.
Odds of a soft landing,
well
the market kind of prices in 70%. I think it's half of that. As a business person, I try to be prepared for all of that. Just a little cautious. It looks a little bit more like the 70s to me. And I point out to a lot of people, things look pretty rosy in 1972. They were not rosy in 1973. So don't get lulled into a false sense of security because the today looks okay, that tomorrow's going to be okay. So just trying to separate the two.
Sticking with today then, is Bidenomics working?
Hell no.
Actually, when you spend that kind of money, you're going to have growth. And we needed some of it, like some of the industrial policy. I think the infrastructure thing is terrific. That was bipartisan. Other things will remain to be seen. So I think some of the American public looks at it like, what are they getting? Mm-hmm. So if you go to rural America or inner cities, I'm not sure they feel like they're being lifted up by this economy.
Do you think Jerome Powell's doing a good job as chairman of the Fed?
I have tremendous respect for Jay. I think the Fed...
They're on a first-name basis now, Jay?
...was probably late in raising rates. They caught up. They're probably right and watching right now. We don't know what's going to happen. You might as well wait. We also don't know the full effect of QE. I'm a little more on the cautious side of that. Most people have a general feeling that you can reduce the balance sheet by several $1 trillion and its effect will not be felt. I'm not so sure. We've never had it before.
Switching tack now to geopolitics. We've got wars going on in the Middle East and in Europe that create an enormous amount of economic uncertainty. If we focus first on the Middle East, do you think that the US position towards the Israel-Hamas war is the right one?
I think Israel has the right to defend itself. I think war is a terrible thing. I think people have to be honest about what war is, and when they look at the civilian deaths and all the things like that. So I don't know the specifics of the military. I think the notion that they aren't going to defend themselves is wrong. So I'll leave the military experts decide, what's the right way to go do that. Every general I see on TV, and I've spoken to several, city conflict is really bad. Mm-hmm. And it's door by door, higher amount of civilian casualties. Hamas must have known there was going to be quite a reaction to what they did. By the way, it's unjustifiable for any reason ever. So I want to be clear about that.
And then we've got war in Ukraine as well, where Ukraine clearly struggling against Russia. What would it mean for the global economy if Russia was to win?
It could be a potential disaster, because this is the first war in Europe. Free democratic nation invaded by 200,000 or 300,000 Russian soldiers under the threat of nuclear blackmail. So we've never had nuclear blackmail before, which is also teaching the whole world, maybe having nuclear weapons a pretty good thing, because people will be afraid of you and you can, abuse.
That's literally what America did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Isn't that what we did? Isn't that what we leverage? Isn't that how we get? Let me be quiet. Let me hear some more of what he got to say. I want to see where this comes back to the money.
Use a neighbor if you feel like it. But the other thing is affecting all alliances. If Russia wins, I personally think you might see a lot of people deciding that, will America stand up for Europe? Can you rely on them? And if you can't rely on them, what are you going to do? And that includes economically. So that's why I kind of talk about the economic battlefield and the battlefield. So economically, every nation can say, what makes me secure? What makes me secure in energy, food, and all the things I need. So I'm a little worried that if Russia wins that war, you're going to see kind of the world kind of enter a little bit of chaos as people realign alliances and economic relationships, et cetera.
So China's complicated, obviously, because...
this is what I want to hear.
On the one hand, we have so much trade with China. The supply chains are integrated, but at the same time, we reported recently that China is aiding the Russian war effort, and there's now a proposal by the US to sanction Chinese banks. How should the US approach China?
I would tell America, take a deep breath. We have all the foodborne energy we need, the Atlantic and the Pacific, no wars in North America, South America. China imports 11 million barrels of oil a day. They're a very complicated neighbor. Their own actions are causing all their neighbors to rearm. Their GDP per person is $15,000 versus our 80. So, we're in a very good position. We have to restructure trade around national security. They need oil and gas, so the LNG, I think, is very important strategically. So I would negotiate them around all of that. And I'm glad they're doing it. As long as Ukraine is there and they're doing anything to aid and abet, I think it makes it very hard to have a great relationship with them. I'm glad the government has the authority to do certain things. If, in fact, some of these things are true, they should do some sanctions.
Right.
But they should expect some back, by the way.
I want to turn now to domestic matters and the forthcoming election. We're in the very unusual position of knowing what a Trump presidency looks like. We know what a Biden presidency looks like. Who's the best candidate for the economy?
I predict that he's not even going to say anybody. I have not seen this. I don't know. I predict that he's in a very precarious situation, a very difficult situation where he can't say or endorse or pick one over the other. No way that he picks Trump or Biden. He's on the side of both of them. because both of them can affect what happens with at the bank and at Chase and JP Morgan. There's no way he's going to pick a candidate and say who's better.
2024.
Okay, I'm not going to go into that kind of thing right now. And
Smart man. Smart man. Smart man. This guy is good. He is good. He is good. Ain't no way in the world that this man is crazy enough. He did not get there by being dumb. He did not get to the top of his thing by being an idiot. Ain't no way in the world. See, the smart ones, when you get to a certain level, just be quiet.
whoever is president,
What the heck is going on here?
we will try to help. I would like them to put a lot of experts around them, not just academic, but practitioners in the real world, because I think it matters.
How about you as one of the experts? I know you were your name has come up in the context of a new Fed chairman.
I would not do Fed chairman, Treasury Secretary. I don't think I'd ever be picked for that. So,
okay, you're not
make too much money. You weren't doing what he do.
Executive, and obviously there are a lot of pressures with the job. You had a near-death experience about 4 years ago with your aortic tear, and before that, you.
No, I don't care about that. Impact of near-death experiences, leadership. Okay, let's go on to leadership. I don't care about no near-death experiences.
Now, you've been chief exec for 18 years, and you're obviously in a very powerful position. But even the most powerful people, powerful leaders, need checks and balances. Who keeps you in check?
well, my wife would probably say, I do.
Of course he gonna say that. Hey, listen, my wife is probably the one that'll tell you that she keeps me in check. These guys have all of the right answers, and I'm for it. I'm all for it.
She does. But I think my management team, we're all very open. Everyone, we share everything. I emote to them, ways that you wouldn't hear me do it elsewhere. They emote back. You're wrong. You didn't read it properly, or you missed this major point. So it's a very open conversation. I don't think any of those folks are intimidated by me, and there's very little after the fact conversation like, okay, I didn't want to mention this in front of everybody. They're brave enough to mention in front of anybody. And, I've had people, 3 of them come in and say, Jamie, you're making a mistake. Sit down. We want to explain it to you. Don't say anything. I say, okay, lay it on me. So you try to create a very open environment. And then also, we have regulators, auditors, press. So believe me, we get a lot of feedback from a lot of people.
You know what? This is how he stayed in power for so long and been a CEO of Chase Bank for so long, because leadership is not about being right. Leadership is about surrounding yourself with people that can give you the insight that you need to make a better decision. So in a way, maybe he is telling the truth, especially with regard to his wife. Because to be able to listen to the people that you trust the most around you, which is one of the reasons why they're around you, is what gives you the insight, the information, the ability to make a smart decision. They're my eyes and my ears. They're the experts in the fields that they're in. The smartest people are not the ones that's the bossiest. And this is why a lot of times I cringe when I see a lot of people, they say, I'm a boss chick or this and that, or I own my own company. Listen, that's cool. For me, it's a little bit different. I know that what makes me great is the people that I surround myself with. And so I move a little bit differently. My success is directly tied to my ability to put the right people in position and to put the right people in place. So it makes sense. That is the key of a true leader, is the fact that you let everybody else run and do what they do. You don't micromanage, and you let them be great at what it is that they got going on.
Just to bring it back to the current news cycle with these very polarizing issues in America, do you think that's the sort of thing that chief execs like you should comment on publicly or make statements as a company on?
Nope.
The answer is yes, if it's appropriate and you know how to do it. So, in my letter, it's quite clear. I'm a full-throated, red-blooded, patriotic, free enterprise capitalist. And I'm unabashed and unashamed. I also acknowledge that we've left part of society behind. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging it and trying to do something about it. So, we do a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. So we'll support the LGBT community. We'll support free, fair, safe voting. When it comes to lifting up other parts of society, absolutely.
So I've got some final
questions
here.
We need to make sure that we get money from everybody. Everybody need to be contributing into getting this bag with us. I got you.
Short questions that require short answers.
Okay.
How many days should people be in the office?
5 is ideal.
Are America's downtowns dead?
No. I think some are going to have difficulty.
I agree with all of that. 5 is ideal. America's downtowns are not dead. I'm 100% in favor of that.
Their own policies, but no.
If you're a young person and you want to work at JP Morgan, what should you study at college?
It almost doesn't matter, to tell you the truth, because you're looking for smart, ethical, decent people. I do think in business, you should learn the language of business, which is accounting, and learn a little bit basic business. So I think it would help to do accounting, finance, markets, something like that.
On the rare occasion that you take a day off, what do you do?
So my daughters have said to me, Dad, you need some more hobbies. I love my family, so we have a lot of family dinners when I'm around. We hike together. We take vacations together. I love wine. I love music. I just started playing squash again, which I'm still worried about, but I'm going to do it.
What's your morning routine?
Okay, I wake up usually at 4:30 or 5. I read 5 papers you'll be happy to hear in a very specific form. So I flick through the Post. I read the front page of the Washington Post. Then I read the New York Times front section beginning to end, all of it. I read their business section, which isn't so great. Then I read the Wall Street Journal front section, Exchange next, and then the FT. And the reason I do FT last is because all the other ones are very much skewed to the U.S. So I like reading. I'll do it for hours in the morning, but then I like to get a little exercise and go to the office. So.
Did y'all see what time that he said that he wake up in the morning? Did y'all see what time that he said that he wake up in the morning? Now, I know it'll be a lot of people that say, oh my God, we shouldn't do that and all of this. Look, the people that are the richest, they all exhibit the same qualities, the same routines, the same characteristics. His habits is literally the same as Warren Buffett's, which was the same as Elon Musk's, which was the same as Jeff Bezos, which was the same as Charlie Munger's, which was the same as Bill Gates. They all have the same habits. And all of the other dudes that's rich that y'all not even familiar with. They all wake up at the same time. They all got the same habits. They all do the same thing, and they all exhibit the same success. And so that's what we do. We mimic it.
And do you ever switch off your phone?
I am not a fanatic on the phone. I don't even have it here. I have it outside, but I think people should spend a little bit less time on that, a little more time thinking. But I'm not on any social media. Every year I test it. I go on for literally just a week to see what everyone else is doing. Reels and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and then I click out of it.
Never tempted?
No.
If I ever, I was very slow to get on Instagram. I got on Instagram a lot later than everybody else. I got on TikTok a lot later than everybody else. Instagram was out for years before I ever even created an account. That's pretty funny. It's interesting about that. But on top of that, I will tell you that if I was to ever no longer be a streamer or no longer to be a content creator, I would absolutely kill all of my social media personally. Like outside of the stuff that I look at on YouTube and stuff. But I'm very rarely actually on Instagram unless I'm posting or I'm putting something on Instagram. I'm never on TikTok unless I'm posting and putting something on TikTok. When I look at content on YouTube, I look at stuff that's relevant and meaningful to me. So I actually can enjoy that sentiment because when I'm disconnected, I'm actually doing stuff in real life. Great interview, phenomenal interview. Shout out to Jamie Dimon. We want to give him a round of applause. Always awesome to see the GOATs killing it out here in these streets. Let me read a few of these super chats and then we're going to continue over with the last part of the show. Five Brown says, yo, AD, can you cover that clip of The View I sent you where they said men are useless and only gay men are needed? What? Yeah, I'll cover it tonight. Also, thanks for dropping that super power clip. You know I was going to drop that right after that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my dog, Five Brown. Jerry Antoine says, Jamie Dimon is gaslighting y'all. His true moneymaker is investment banking, which is not catered to consumers but corporates. Shout out to my dog, Jerry. I appreciate you. King Stannis says, Anton, what are you doing? What do you do on your days off? Rita, what do I do on my days off? You said I what? So basically, I don't have no days off. I work on my days off. I don't look at it as days off. Like, I don't look at like, oh man, I take days off. I don't look at it like that. I may work a little bit less than I normally would on a Monday through Thursday. I do work less on the weekends than on Monday through Thursday. You saying I don't work less on the weekends than I do on Monday through Thursday? I would say that I work less on the weekends than I do on Monday through Thursday, but I don't really take days off. I just keep the same routine. I wake up at the same time, Monday through Sunday, Sunday through Saturday. I wake up at the same time. I do the same routine, and then I just enjoy my afternoon a little bit more. So I don't really switch up. I do the same thing every single day, no matter what. JC says Epstein invested with Chase, and they knew about SAs. A lot of people invest with Chase. It's a lot of people that got money and put it in banks and stuff like that. So I don't really take that to heart or to mean anything. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for the super chats. Let's continue on with the show. We got one more segment that we want to get into, and that is Walmart. So the Walmart CEO also was grilled and was asked about the state of the company and the state of the economy and inflation and stuff like that. And so I want to share that with you guys also. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Reading that super chat shortly, my dog. Shout out.
According to the latest Department of Labor report, the U.S. has seen 39 straight months of job growth. That is sending unemployment to a nearly 50-year low.
And now Walmart, the world's largest retailer, is advancing its push to offer corporate jobs that do not require college degrees. And ABC News business reporter Alexis Christopher sat down with the president and CEO of Walmart U.S. in an exclusive interview. And she joins us now from Washington with the latest on this story. Good to see you, my friend. What did you learn?
Good to see you guys. Thanks so much. Look, some Walmart store managers can now make over $400,000 a year, no college degree necessary. It's part of the retailer's push to offer higher paying corporate jobs to non-college grads. This morning, I sat down with the president and CEO of Walmart U.S. in this exclusive interview to talk about that and more. Why did Walmart decide to remove college degree requirements from some of these higher paid corporate jobs?
You know, I look at this a couple ways. There are so many different ways that people will find their own path to success. You know, for some of us, that means college. For some of us, it means skills. And the skills, there are a number of ways that we want to help people attain the skills to be really successful at their job at Walmart or just skills in life. And so, you know, many cases, what the skills required to do something like be a store manager or be an assistant manager in a distribution center or be a technician on robotics. You know, those are skills that are pretty specific. They can be a combination of leadership or business acumen. And we have a lot of programs where we want to make sure people have the skills they need to be successful, recognizing that while college is great for some, it's not exactly the right answer for everyone.
So basically what he's telling you is the same thing that y'all see on these resume sites and these Indeeds and all of this stuff. And when they say bachelor's degree required or some combination of real world experience and, you know, job, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's not any different. It's the same. For those of y'all that's thinking, oh man, I'm not going to go to college now. Well, you got to be pretty exceptional and you got to have a certain background and life experience in order to get these positions and these jobs that's ultimately going to pay a whole lot of money. That's just the facts. You're going to have to be awesome. Or what he's also referring to is that associates that's been with the company for an extended period of time that may not necessarily have a degree can also transition and eventually be trained to do some of the stuff as long as they, you know, still stay working at Walmart. So do you got a degree? And does it get you in the door? And does it get you higher? Absolutely, it gets you the job and it gets you a level up above everybody else. But a degree doesn't mean that you know how to do the job and that you're going to even be able to stay in the job. A degree is the thing that then gets you in the door. You know what I'm saying? So if you can, and you can prevent yourself from getting a whole lot of student loans, get your degree in a field that's going to be very lucrative for you.
We have to talk inflation. It's top of mind for lots of folks, and especially food inflation. 25% of all grocery spending happens at a Walmart in this country. So talk to me about these stubbornly high prices and their impact on the Walmart shopper. How have you seen their shopping habits change?
You know, we've been talking about the last couple of years, all the things we're trying to do to keep prices down or slow inflation. And, you know, happy to report right now that prices across our portfolio are about the same as last year. And I haven't been able to say that for a few years. We have 6,000 items, and for us, it's a lot, that are on what we call rollback, where we have price reductions. And big categories like general merchandise, we're seeing deflation. So I'm feeling much better about inflation in terms of pricing versus a year ago. But we're not finished. You know, our team talks about all the time what's the lowest that we can try to sell items for and what other things can we do. We have items like our our 2-liter private brand soft drinks that are now $1 that are going really well. We've got French bread back to $1 loaf. That rose up to over $1.40 during the pandemic. And those are big percent drops, you know, a few cents here and there, but it adds up in a basket.
I know you've got over 100 stores going to be opening up in the next few years. How are you thinking about self-checkout? What's the future of that at Walmart?
Yeah, we're thinking about it in a number of ways. What we want is great customer service, and we would love for a customer to be able to go check out when they're ready and choose the way that they're going to do it. However, we want to make sure that the checkout process is accurate. Retail shrinkage is a cost, so enabling us to lower that cost, we can keep prices down, and that's really what.
So what they mean by shrinkage is either by stuff getting destroyed, but more importantly, people stealing. They can't say it directly to you, but I'm going to just tell you, they want shrinkage to go down. Now, the problem is that the self-checkout that incentivized y'all to keep bringing stuff up as bananas. You ain't got it. They don't even have that many bananas in the store. You keep bringing up bananas and bananas, and so it then gives a red flag because it's like, wait a minute. I thought we only had like 100 bananas today, but we got 300 bananas every single day being rung up. How is that possible? Where's all of these bananas coming from? The tonnage is short. Y'all keep weighing bananas. Oh, I know what y'all be doing. You want them good eggs, don't you? So you get that 1 carton of eggs, the regular carton of eggs, and you put the good eggs in the basket right along with the regular carton of eggs. And then you switching them out as you're doing the rest of your grocery shopping. I know what you got going on. I seen every single trick in the book. Every single trick. I know what you did. And so as you was walking down the aisle, you just switched them out into the other cartons. And you got the regular carton, but you got them cage-free brown eggs that's organic and, you know, regularly fed, horse-fed. You've been switching out the eggs. Stop switching out your eggs. Pay for your eggs. It's only an extra $1. It's an extra $1. They're saying they want you to pay for things the way that you want to pay for them. They just want to make sure that you're paying for them entirely, all right? Also, he did speak about keeping prices low. One of the reasons that, well, it's a couple different reasons why they want to keep prices low. Number one, because they want to make sure that they're competing against other grocers, especially mom and pop spots. That's number one. And then number two, you said you never heard of that, Osriel. I can tell you how all of these people be finessing. And then number two, don't y'all get no bright ideas. Anton told me to switch out my eggs. No, I didn't. I said, don't do it, and I'm watching you, and don't switch out your eggs. Listen, y'all don't want to get arrested over $1.50 more worth of eggs, do you? That's not going to be good for your portfolio. Don't get arrested for eggs. They watching you. All right? Now, let me get back to the core of what I'm saying. A, they do it to compete, and then B, they do it as a loss leader. So a lot of groceries have such thin margins, and then you combine that with the shrinkage, which they either pass on to the consumer or they try to offset it with general merchandise. So they're hoping that you come in, go all the way back to the store, and then don't go straight back to the front. You go to the back to the store, and then you go all the way around, and then you start going and getting some socks. You get you some Spalding shoes. You get you some Shaq Dunks, right? You pick up some shoes. You pick up some lingerie. Hey, baby. They want you to go through general merchandise because that's where they make the majority of their money. They want you to pick up a pillow here, candle there, try to steal you a TV, get caught at the door. They don't want you to do that. They want you to go through the general merchandise. So they design their store specifically for you to be able to navigate, walk through, get distracted, and buy things that you don't need when you didn't come in for it. That's one of the ways that they get you inside of the store.
We're focused on.
So self-checkout's not going away at Walmart?
There are a few stores where we've made the decision that they'll come out of, but we haven't made that decision in every store.
To come back to the point of inflation, you seem pretty optimistic that things are moving in the right direction.
I'm feeling much better. I mean, there are so many opinions 2 to 3 years ago on what would happen, whether it was going to be permanent or transitory or food only. And the answer is, what I've learned over 30 years is it's just really hard to tell. We want to be there for everybody. We serve the whole country, so we try to do the best we can to keep prices low in all categories and keep our quality in a place that's inspiring to our consumers so we can serve.
Hear what he had to say about inflation. Great interview there. But we know Walmart has really been pushing to hire employees for these higher paying jobs without college degrees. And they influence so much in the economy and other companies. Are they influencing other companies to do the same?
Well, they're holding their first ever opportunity summit here in D.C. today, where more than a dozen big companies are coming together. McDonald's, Home Depot, PepsiCo, Verizon. They're looking for ways to offer more of these six-figure jobs to more people, folks who don't necessarily have a college degree. And you heard him talk about training workers to have the right skills, to see a career path within the company, to see growth within the company. I think John Furner himself is a good example. He started out stocking shelves at a Walmart back in the 1990s. Now he's CEO of their U.S. operations.
Wow. That is amazing.
So basically what they're telling y'all is that they want you to stick with the company long term. And then on top of that, y'all remember when six figures used to be so elusive? And six figures, y'all just throw around everybody making six figures like it's nothing now. Six figures. That's a talking point now. Hey, you can make six figures. It's a talking point now. But they want you to stay with the company long term, and then hopefully that translates into you being successful there. And then you can also be a walking billboard and say, hey, man, I've been working at Walmart for 25 years. They'd always did me well. So shout out to Walmart. Shout out to Valmat. A lot of people don't know what Valmat is. They new to the show. Y'all know what Valmat is? Valmat is Walmart. When we used to go to a store in a little bit more of a seedy part of the city, not Detroit, but it was outside of the city. When we used to go to the store and we would go to Walmart, but the light on the W was out and the R on the light was out, and so it was spelled Valmat instead of Walmart. Yeah, not the whole W, just half the W. Half the W was out, so it was a V. And then the R's was missing, so it was actually Valmat. So every time we went to Walmart, we would call it Valmat. Such stupid stories. Dumbest stories in the world, dumbest experiences ever. But shout out to Valmat, doing well and doing great things. Put Kmart out of business, that's for sure. Toon says no more and pay $75 million to Virgin U.S. Islands for banking Epstein. Chris J in the building says, salute to the chasers that work every day. Ain't leaving a dime on the table. I got to make sure that my daughter is straight and my wife is straight. Greyway says they switching eggs. What else they doing? I'm not telling y'all. I'm not telling y'all how these people is out here getting arrested. I don't want to be sending no money to bail. Y'all email me talking about, I need bail money. I ain't got you. I ain't got you. I ain't got nothing to say to you. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. Thank you to Sister again. Shout out to Sister. Let me highlight that super chat one more time because, man, look at Sister out here in these streets. Always supporting the show. Always loving on Time Dog. I appreciate you, Sister. I love you. I had to go and pick up a new MacBook Pro today, MacBook Pro Max. Because my computer, the one that I stream on every day, Smug is starting to sputter out. It's been a beast. I couldn't even save my images in Photoshop no more. I said, what the heck is going on? So I sent Rita to go and get me a new MacBook. I got to switch everything over. So listen, I love y'all. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sister. Thank you to everybody that rock with me. I'm not sure what time that we going to start the after hours live stream tonight, but we definitely going to be in the building because you know we don't miss. We got the draft today. Supposed to be on the rooftop. We're going to figure all of that out. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to rock with me. We're going to get it in and we're going to do what we do on a regular basis. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here, though. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest on earth. Again, thank you, Sister. Thank you to everybody that gives. It does not go unappreciated. I acknowledge every single person that contributes into the platform because you guys are awesome. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to see y'all tonight. Peace.